Welcome back to Acadiana's Morning News. We continue to prepare you for the election, now just 11 days away, early voting in full swing. We're joined today by candidate for the 3rd Congressional District, Scott Angelle, for our 5-question series. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
We will start, you're here with Rob and Bernie, obviously. We will start with the first question about how you would do things differently than your challengers, the rest of the field in the 3rd Congressional District, and also different from the way Congressman Dr. Charles Boustany has done things as holding the office himself.
Well, certainly I would answer the question on how I would do it differently from Dr. Boustany. How others would do it would be for them to answer. But I would certainly say that I do believe that Dr. Boustany has been responsive and has traveled the district and is viewed as a very hard worker, speaking to farmers and healthcare folks and oil and gas and veterans. I can tell you they've all been impressed with his service. Personally, I come from a large family. I enjoy people, and I've always been the kind of guy that's actually gone out and visited with the constituents as opposed to having them coming to me. So I'll be a guy that'll be out and visiting with folks on their front porches, at their places of business, at their fairs and festivals. And that's how I think we bring more America to Washington, and we keep Washington from infiltrating America.
Do you think that your differences are a lot between you and the other candidates? I mean, do you think it's glaring or should be for the voters?
Well, I think that the major difference between me and my opponents, who are all good folks, who are all running, and certainly I appreciate the fact that they are offering themselves for service, but I think that what separates me is results. I have a record of fighting and winning for the people of Louisiana, and I believe that one of the biggest fights of our generation is what Washington is trying to do to the oil and gas industry. And if we allow them to succeed in the oil and gas industry like they've succeeded bankrupting the coal industry, I think it changes our way of life here in South Louisiana forever. Mm-hmm. You will recall that I was a fighter when we fought against Washington, D.C. in 2010 to end the drilling moratorium, but it goes back before that. In local government, I was a leader in fighting to help keep Chinese crawfish from being dumped into our marketplace, driving down prices and putting farmers out of business. And I am the candidate in this race that has fought Washington and won for the people of South Louisiana, and certainly I believe my record shows that.
That is question number 2. It's about the oil and gas industry. I mean, obviously, you have to fight as we do need this industry. But, I think people also forget, Mr. Angelle, that the whole country really needs what we do here in Louisiana.
Well, when you stop and think of what industry has improved the quality of life for Americans more than any industry, in my mind, it is affordable energy, and affordable energy can only happen through a exploration policy that allows us to be able to get domestic energy here for our marketplace. And again, my story here is that it's not only important to the 3rd Congressional District, it's important to Louisiana, it's important to America. As the 3rd Congressional District goes, it'd be important to note that there are 435 congressional districts in all of America, and this particular congressional district is the 11th largest producer of crude oil and the 22nd largest producer of natural gas. Mm-hmm. Having said that, regardless of what business you in South Louisiana, you are somehow, some way in the oil and gas business. If you selling automobiles, or you selling radio advertisement, or you selling healthcare, you are somehow connected to the oil and gas industry. And I believe we need to have a strong domestic industry, which is not only good for us, but certainly good for America.
Question 3 has to do with the first month in office. If you are elected to the 3rd Congressional District, you become the congressman. Is there one particular thing that you do, like your first order of business? Kind of curious about that.
Well, certainly I believe that standing up a constituent service operation is absolutely very critical. I mean, obviously folks look to their congressional leaders for service on the federal level, so having a very effective office staff is critical. Now, when we get to Washington, making sure we get the job done, look, I believe that overregulation is absolutely leading to strangulation of our economy. We have got to push back on a overreaching executive branch that I believe is making rules and regulations, not what our founders, I think, envisioned. I think our founders envisioned that we would have a responsible legislative branch that would be a co-equal partner. And I believe the legislative branch in this country has been left in the rearview mirror by an overreaching executive branch. So I'll be pushing legislation that is being referred to as the REINS Act to rein in overreaching rule-making authority that the executive branch has grabbed over the last decade. And I think when we do that, then we give regular Americans a chance to impact the policies of this country, and those opportunities, I think, end up in better public policy that helps to create jobs.
Mr. Angelle, this year we've had a lot of issues with race on the national stage and even here locally in our state. How do you think race will play a role into the process of legislation in 2016?
You know, that's an odd question. I don't think that race has a place in that kind of discussion. Look, there are 435 people that are sent to Washington, D.C. to represent the various geographic regions throughout America. And we don't divide those districts by race. You out there, you seek to serve. And when you seek to serve, you don't get to say, I'm for one demographic or another. You represent an entire area. So for me, when I look at it, I think everyone in the congressional district, we need to be about creating policies that give them an opportunity to succeed. And race, for me, is not an issue.
Okay, we've ended every interview we did in this 5-question series to ask about perception. Question 5 in our 5-question series is, what do you think is the biggest misperception about you?
I'm not sure that there's a misperception about me. I find that to be an odd question. What I would say is that the perception of me, rather than the misperception, I think the perception of me is that I'm a hard worker, I'm a family man, I spend my Sunday mornings in church, and I spend my time trying to improve the quality of life here in Louisiana, and I think that's the right perception, it's the accurate perception.
Well, I guess what I was kind of getting at, especially in your situation specifically with the governor's race and things that have happened to you, there have been a lot of claims, negative claims that have been made about you in different other ads. So I would imagine that's a misperception of many of the things that are featured in those ads.
Well, you know, I've always been a positive campaigner, and, you know, it's unfortunate that campaigns have a negative connotation to them. I'm going to continue to be a positive guy because I believe that Louisiana's best days are still ahead. I think America's best days are still ahead. And for those who wish to spend money attacking, we'll respond to those attacks. But I think the perception of me is that I'm a hard worker, I'm a family man, I'm a Christian. I understand that overregulation leads to strangulation. I think people understand that I believe in a smaller government is the way to go, and that life is worth protecting, and we ought to do those kind of things and to lead to a better America. And I'll continue to work on that. As far as what perceptions are, I'll leave to the voters to decide that on November the 8th.
Scott Angelle for our 5-question series as we wrap up talking to all the candidates. We appreciate your time.